Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about the latest album from Sonata Arctica, Talviyö, out September 6th on Nuclear Blast. The album has 11 tracks, 56 minutes in length, and this is the band's 11th full-length studio album. To me, going into this record, I was really wondering, what is this album going to offer me? Because I was not a big fan of the singles, so I really was wondering, is this record going to be better than the singles? Going to be worse than the singles? Or what is this album really going to have to offer to the listener? The final result, as far as I'm concerned, is that the album is not worse than the singles, but it's also not better than the singles. I really feel like the album is what it is. It treads water. This is a record that it never really feels like it's in the driver's seat. It never really feels like it's taking you somewhere. It lacks a little bit of power. It lacks a little bit of soul. It's just a record that I just don't personally connect with it, but I also don't feel like it's a record that really is a driving record. This is a record that it's floating in the ocean and it's going whatever the tides will take it. It's a record that when you sit down to listen to it, feels almost like part of your atmosphere, feels part of the ambiance, but it's not a record that really moves you. At least it doesn't move me. I just don't feel like it has the needed ingredients in order to really do that. Now, to me, the record plays out more as a melodic, melancholic, self-indulgent record than it does a power metal record. In my opinion, this is not a power metal album. It lacks a little bit of power, lacks a little bit of soul in order to be a true power metal record. So it's more a melodic, melancholic record than anything else. And now, depending on which camp you're on, if you're looking at this record from that specific perspective, the record is good because it really delivers on that premise. If you're looking at from the band's previous records, if you're looking for more from a more power metal perspective, then you'll be defrauded in your expectations. So I think this album is going to work with some people. It's not going to work with some other people. It all comes down to what is your mindset, what are your expectations, and from what camp you're coming from. If you enjoyed this style and this is something you can get into, you're going to enjoy the album. If you're expecting something else, you're not. So to me, at the end of the day, this is going to become a very polarizing record. It's going to really divide everybody, and nobody's going to be indifferent. So either people are going to love it or are going to hate it. There's not going to be anybody in between. The structure of the record to me is one that's just almost like the whole record. It just doesn't feel like it's really pulling you and driving you. It's a structure that really sits still. You're on top of a track. You're going from place A to place B, and that's it. There's nothing really that pulls you or tugs at you that really changes directions. Perhaps the only exception to that rule is the instrumental track that they included in the middle of the record called Ismo's Got Good Reactors. That to me perhaps is the only really curveball that they throw at you, because it's not really common for them to include instrumental tracks on their records, and this one kind of bridges the first half of the record with the second half of the record. So that to me is perhaps the only really curveball that was thrown at you. Now, vocals on this record, I enjoyed the vocals on this record if I'm looking at from that more melodic, melancholic approach, because they really fit that style to perfection. They really added a lot of melancholy, they added a lot of melody to the album. But one thing in my opinion that lacked was a little bit of power, a little bit of an edge. I really would have liked to see on certain songs the vocal track being pushed a little bit more. I enjoyed on the other side a lot of the backing vocals, a lot of the layers that they use around the vocal tracks throughout the record. To me, that added volume, because the vocals overall are very thin, are very light. So by adding those layers, they really added volume to the songs and overall volume to this record. Another component that I enjoyed was the keyboards. I thought the keyboards, while not having a predominant over-the-top role like we've seen in some of the new wave, if you will, of power metal bands, or at least some of the new power metal albums that were released this year, while they don't have that predominant role, they're still there, they're still a factor throughout, and they add a lot of melody, they add a lot of charisma to the track, so I really enjoyed that. The guitars and drums are perhaps the two more consistent factors throughout the record. You always feel like they're there in order to hold the songs together, in order to give the songs the needed DNA, the needed life, the needed blood force in order to allow the songs to remotely work, to really feel like they had at least a little bit of a spinal cord to them. So I really like the combination of guitars and drums and how those two instruments really interacted well throughout the construction of the record. Overall, to me, this is a record that has some good tracks. It has some okay tracks, but there if you really look into it, and once again, if you go in with a clear perspective in terms of what to expect from this record, you will find a couple of gems on this record. There are some really good tracks on this album, but overall not enough to really make, in my opinion, this a memorable record. This is a good record. It's a different record, but it's not a memorable record. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I just mentioned that there are some songs on this record that are good, and I want to start with Whirlwind. I really like the atmospheric elements at the intro with the guitar melody. It's a great way to start off this song. A song that has a great tempo, using the layers of the vocals, like I mentioned before, really adds a little bit of a different feel to the song. It adds volume, it adds thickness, it adds power to the song, it adds power to the vocals, because the vocals on their own don't have necessarily that power. By adding the layers, they do that. There's definitely a heavier bite in the verses compared to the more melodic approach of the chorus, but the chorus really has like this throwback feel to the 80s love ballad style. So I really connected with that chorus. I really connected with that. So that was something that really attracted me to this song. The song mixes extremely well heaviness with melody, and it does that and allows the song to have a little bit of dynamic changes throughout, so making one of these, in my opinion, one of the most memorable songs on the record. Another track that I really enjoyed was Demon's Cage. This one perhaps more from a lyrical perspective, because it's a more politically driven song lyrically, so I connected more to the lyrics of this song. That's what attracted me to this specific track. A song that starts off with a great bass line. I almost wish they had kept that bass line more throughout the track, perhaps bringing it and taking it down throughout the song. But no, it's more predominant in the beginning of the song, then the keyboards take a more predominant role for the rest of the track. But I still enjoy this song, specifically from a lyrical perspective, but also the chorus. I really like not only the melody, the tone, the mood, the atmosphere that the vocal delivery in the chorus has really allows the lyrics of the song to really push their way home to the listener. That to me was one powerful chorus that this song has that really drives the song home, and that is the reason I connected with this track. Last but not least, The Garden, the last song on the album. Let me put it this way. This song is simple and beautiful, and that to me is undeniable. This is a song that's really stripped down, and it's the perfect closing track to the record. For a record that has this sort of mood, this sort of atmosphere, this sort of more melodic, melancholic approach, this to me is perhaps one of the better ways to finish off the album. It really allows the record to be pushed towards the sunset. You really get that feel from this track. The keyboard sound on this song almost sounds like raindrops falling. It has that kind of beautiful aspect to it, something that absolutely attracted me to the overall track. I really like the guitars on this song. I find that the guitars and vocals are two elements that bring so much melody, so much beauty, and at the same time it adds a little bit of darkness to the overall feel that this song has. Really captivating song, really beautiful way to close off the record. Alright guys, this is it for me. This is Sonata Arctica with Talviyö, out September 6th. Let me know your thoughts on the band, the singles. What is it going through your mind? Did this album meet your criteria? Are you happy with this release? I really want to hear from you, specifically from those that have been fans of this band for a very long time. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be reading those as always and getting back to you. See you guys.